Hi, I'm Robert. I'm 36, a general surgeon. And last month I watched my sister hold up a $320,000 condo deed I'd gifted her at her wedding, tilt it toward the chandelier light, and laugh like it was a used napkin. "This is the wrong area," she said into the mic, in front of 180 guests. "I'm not living in that cheap part of town." People laughed, like it was a joke. Like handing someone a mortgage-free life was the punchline to a roast out. My hands didn't shake, and I was proud of that. I just smiled, walked back to my seat, and sat down. My chair scraped loudly across the floor and I smiled again. This time because a switch in me had just flipped. And I knew in that moment everything was about to change. Here's what nobody at that reception knew. I was the emergency contact for everyone in my family. I'd sent Naomi money at 2 a.m. from the war. I'd paid off her grad school debt twice. I'd bought her an Audi. I paid for her rent, her phone, her braces, her dental crown, her flower wall for the reception. I carried her, financially and emotionally, and told myself it was love, not weakness. But in that moment, watching her reject the condo because it wasn't Instagram worthy enough, I realized my kindness had become her expectation. My generosity had turned into her entitlement. Let me back up. Naomi is 28, beautiful, loud, magnetic. The kind of person who gets free drinks and doesn't say thank you. She orders a $9 latte, takes one sip, and sends it back with a smile that makes the barista feel like they've done something wrong. My parents call her sensitive. What they mean is, the rules don't apply. When Naomi got engaged to Evan, real estate agent, nervous smile, always checking his phone. Everyone knew I'd bankroll the wedding. I didn't fight it. I was used to being the financial foundation, the guy who fixes things. I just finished paying off my med school loans by living like a resident 3 years longer than I had to. I slept in a one-bedroom apartment 3 blocks from the hospital, ate vending machine dinners between call shifts, and treated myself once a month to real coffee. Naomi texted me one night with a Pinterest board and a muffin she didn't eat. "We want to live near the action," she said, scrolling. "But until then, we'll stay in the rental. Can you keep covering rent? And also we're thinking Q8 for the honeymoon road trip. Massage seats." That's when I got the idea. A condo. Not flashy. Not in the hills. But 10 minutes from the hospital. Safe, clean, 2 bedrooms, hardwood floors. A building that didn't smell like mold or vape smoke. I closed on it in my name. Planned to add hers after the wedding. My lawyer asked, "Are you sure?" I said yes. Naomi had always said family first. I wanted to believe it wasn't just a slogan for people like me to pay for people like her. The deed went into a black folio. No ribbon, no dramatic speech. I was late to the wedding because of a gallbladder complication, but I made it just in time for photos. Crooked, chlorhexidine on my sleeve. The photographer told me to relax my shoulders. I tried. At the reception, the DJ cut the music. The MC said, "Let's start with a special gift from the bride's brother." I walked to the mic, looked out at 180 faces, handed Naomi the folio. She opened it, read the address, tilted the page toward the chandelier, and said, loud and clear, "Wrong area. I'm not living in that cheap part of town." Laughter. Real laughter. My mother tried not to smile. My father stared at his drink. Evan looked down. Naomi handed the deed back to me like it might stain her nails. "Next time," she said, "ask." No one stopped her. No one corrected her. They moved on. Because rooms always move on when the story makes the giver look like the fool. But I didn't. Because when I sat down and looked at that paper in my hand, 3 words came into my head and wouldn't leave. Asterisk. That night, after the DJ packed up and the donut wall got devoured by tipsy cousins, I went home with the deed under my arm and a quiet clarity I hadn't felt in years. I lived 3 blocks from the hospital, in a 1-bedroom with cracked tile and a fridge that hummed like it was trying to soothe itself. I took off my tie, peeled off the layer of sweat and disappointment, and dropped the Audi key fob into a drawer. Naomi didn't know the title was in my name. The insurance. Also mine. She never qualified for the loan. I did. I co-signed. I paid the $20,000 down payment. I added her as a driver. I paid when she rear-ended a pillar and said, "Jumped." I had all the paperwork. Every Zelle transfer. Every Venmo note. Every screenshot of her texting Rob, rent's due, Rob, dentist, Rob, it's for my Smile My brand. I had it organized in a folder labeled Naomi. Not out of spite, just survival. I'm a surgeon, we document everything. Because one day someone might ask, why did you cut? And the answer has to be clear, sharp, legible. At 4:35 a.m. in the call room, between consult notes and post-op checks, I emailed my lawyer, subject, family attachments, spreadsheet of financial support notes, please draft repayment schedule, stop rent transfers, title return for vehicle, freeze account access. At 7:10 a.m. I canceled the recurring $2,150 rent payment. By 7:12, Naomi had already texted, WTF, why is the rent not hitting? Don't be dramatic, this is why PPL don't trust surgeons. And came one from my mom. It's her wedding week. Do not upset her. My reply, she upset herself. The silence was immediate. Then it was broken by rage. By noon, the family group chat lit up like fireworks at a guilt parade. Aunt Leela, Robert, she was joking. Don't be petty, Uncle Simon. It's just money, man. Naomi, you are sick. You ruined my wedding. Evan is furious. Everyone thinks you're unstable. At 1:23 p.m. my pager went off, small bowel obstruction. At 3 p.m. I returned to find a white envelope on my doormat. Block letters. No return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper. On it, a list in Naomi's handwriting. Ask Rob. Hair trial, flower wall, EJ upgrade, bouquet toss, cannons, condo. Maybe if I cry. There were printed screenshots. Messages to vendors. To my mother. To our aunt. All versions of the same phrase. Invoice Rob. He loves to feel needed. That sentence looped in my head like a song you hate but can't stop hearing. He loves to feel needed. Like I was some vending machine for self-esteem. Press a button, get rent. Press again, get braces. Press again, get a down payment. I didn't cry, but my hands did something they never do in surgery. They shook. At 7 p.m. Evan texted me. She didn't tell me about the rent, or the car, or any of it. I'm sorry. I'm at my brother's. At 8:12, Naomi posted on Instagram a picture of the Audi in her driveway. Captioned, he stole my getaway car because he's bitter. Lol. I replied in the group chat with a photo of the registration, my name, my insurance, my payments. Then another envelope showed up. This one, legal letterhead from a Gmail account. A demand, return the stolen vehicle. Compensate the bride for emotional distress. Wedding gift shortfall estimated at $50. So it was signed Naomi's lawyer. The signature was a squiggle. The address, my parents' house. I laughed. Not kindly. By Monday, my real lawyer had drafted a repayment agreement. $1,000 a month until the $86,200 she owed me was paid back. Naomi had 30 days to respond. She didn't. So we filed. That week, Evan showed up at my door again. He looked tired, like someone who had just discovered he married a headline. He handed me her key. She gave me a choice, he said. Support her or I'm not a real man. He looked at the floor. I think I found out what kind of man I am. We stood there for a long time, not talking. Then he said, you don't owe me anything, but I owe myself a line. I nodded. That line was familiar. I draw mine at a wedding, where everyone laughed, where I smiled, and took the Audi home. Asterisk. The court papers went out on a Tuesday. My lawyer called it clean and boring, which is exactly how you want a legal notice to feel if you're serious. Dates, amounts, attachments. Words like conversion, and just enrichment, and my personal favorite, documented pattern of financial dependency. I didn't post about it. I didn't explain. I just lived. I did my rounds. I cut. I stitched. I walked the halls of the hospital with a new kind of quiet in my chest. For the first time in years. No one was calling me for money. No, hey Rob. Just a quick thing. No, you're the only one who can fix this. No, you're the surgeon. You can afford it. My mother tried once more. From Naomi's phone. You've made your point, she said. But this isn't how family acts. My reply was for words. This is how I act now. Naomi responded by going nuclear. She posted a video on Instagram. Soft lighting, fake tears, makeup flawless. The caption, my brother is suing me. On my honeymoon. Over a wedding gift. Can you believe it? The comments lit up. Oh my god, what kind of brother does that? He's just jealous. Block him, queen. Protect your peace. I didn't reply, but I did forward the video to my lawyer. He replied with a smiley face and the phrase, "Thanks for the admission of receipt." 2 days later, Evan texted me again. He sent a screenshot of Venmo transfer, $200, caption my half, then another message, "I'm paying down what I can. Even if we don't stay married, it's mine too." I didn't respond right away, but something in my chest cracked open. Not pain, relief. Not because of the money but because someone, finally, understood. Naomi, meanwhile, had gone silent. Not because she was ashamed, because she was strategizing. That's what happens when the golden child loses the golden goose. They don't break. They are abandoned. By week 3, the stories stopped. The ring photos vanished. The captions grew vague. Sometimes the people closest to you hurt you the most. She switched her profile to private. I was blocked. The family chat turned into a ghost town. A few cousins messaged me privately. One said, "You were always too good to them. It's about time." Another, "Can I borrow $300? I left that one on read. Then, just when I thought the dust had settled, my father, silent up until now, called me. The hospital operator patched him through. "Robert," he said, using my full name like he was reading a prescription. "Enough is enough." I didn't say anything. "You embarrassed your sister. You embarrassed this family. And now you're taking her car. Taking her to court." I took a breath. "I took back what I paid for," he huffed. "You have a good job. Why are you acting like this is life or death?" I looked out my office window at the helipad where life and death happen every day. "This isn't about money," I said. "It's about respect." He paused, then tried one last trick. "If your mother has a heart attack from this stress, she'll be seen by excellent doctors." I cut in. "Probably ones I trained." Click. I laughed, not loudly, not out of joy. Just that small, stunned laugh you do when someone threatens you with consequences that already happened years ago. They lost me a long time ago. This was just paperwork catching up. That weekend, I took the Audi to get detailed. The guy at the car wash said, "This thing smells like coconut and entitlement." I tipped him extra. I drove it once. Just around the block. Smooth, fast, way too much car for someone like Naomi. But that's what she always wanted. Things that looked expensive when parked out at the next stoplight. I texted the dealership, listing it. Market value. Low miles. Clean title. When I got home, another white envelope was waiting. This one was handwritten. Naomi's handwriting. "I can't believe you're doing this to me. Mom says you'll cave eventually." No apology. No signature. No awareness. Just the assumption that I'd been because I always had. I slid it into the drawer. The one labeled Naomi. Then I opened my laptop. Sent my lawyer the latest message and added a new tab to the spreadsheet, legal expenses. Month 3. I know it's just numbers, but every cell was a step away from the version of me that used to say yes with a tired smile and a shaking hand. At the hospital, we talk about clean margins. No fragments. No stragglers. Cut clean, or the wound festers. I was learning that's true outside the door, too. Because this wasn't just a court case. It was a surgery. And I was removing a tumor named entitlement. Asterisk. Naomi didn't sign the repayment agreement. She didn't respond to the court filing either, at least not in the proper legal way. She responded with a reel. 30 seconds of wedding footage, the donut wall. Evan's awkward twirl during the first dance. Naomi laughing under fairy lights. Flipping her hair like a shampoo commercial. Over it, she'd written, "When your brother gives you a $300,000 gift with strings attached." Song, Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. I didn't comment. I clipped it. Sent it to my lawyer, who added it to our file under a new folder, Public Admissions of Receipt and Defamation. I didn't go looking for her stories, but friends sent them anyway. They were equal parts delusion and damage control. He's always been jealous of me. He wanted to control me. He's obsessed with power. Probably because he has none at home. I wanted to be angry, but mostly, I just felt tired. The kind of tired that no nap fixes. The kind that builds up over years of being the yes machine. The guy who picked up the phone, even when he was scrubbed and elbow deep in someone's abdominal cavity. Because what no one in those Instagram comments knew was this. Naomi was my third patient. My first was a kid who fell off a bike and ruptured his spleen. I held his hand when he was scared. My second was a woman who coded in recovery. I cracked her chest open in a hallway with no time for permission. And then came Naomi. Not a literal surgery, but the same motions. She bled chaos. I sutured money. She cried. I calmed. She crashed her life. I stabilized it. And the whole time, I told myself I was doing good. But the truth, I was keeping a broken system alive. That week, Evan's brother messaged me. She's still telling people you assaulted her by taking the car. I sent him the title. My name, not hers. I didn't even write a caption. Let the facts speak louder than her curated sob stories. The next day, Naomi posted a throwback photo of us as kids. Me holding her hand at her preschool graduation. The caption, I miss who we used to be. Some people lose their way. I'm praying for healing. Q12 comments. You're the bigger person, he'll come around. He's clearly having a breakdown. My mother texted me an hour later. Just call her. Be the man I raised. I stared at it. Deleted the draft I typed. Instead, I replied, you raised a man who pays bills. Who saves lives. Who's done being used. She didn't answer. 3 days later, a process server showed up at my condo. Served me with a countersuit from Naomi claiming emotional damages, theft of wedding property, and defamation. I laughed so hard I dropped my coffee. The suit had typos. No actual legal rep. A friend of hers had downloaded a template from a free site. She'd listed the Audi as her property because it had her stuff in it at the time of retrieval. The wedding gift shortfall had ballooned to $75,000. She listed loss of joy as a claim. My lawyer filed a motion to dismiss before lunch. He added a second suit, intentional misrepresentation. That night, I drove the Audi to a dealership. They offered me $37,000. I said, make it $39,000 and I'll throw in a coconut air freshener. We shook hands. The next morning, Naomi posted, he sold my car. That was my last memory of joy. Someone in her comments asked, wait, didn't he buy it though? She blocked them. Then she posted a story. I'm looking for a civil rights lawyer. This is psychological abuse. Please DM me with leads. Meanwhile, Evan messaged me again. He'd moved out. Officially, he started paying his half. On time, no drama. $200 every first of the month. Labeled debt. He didn't ask for praise or forgiveness. He just did it. The kind of act that says, I'm not perfect, but I'm awake now. My hospital admin pulled me aside later that week. Your family's been posting some things, she said gently. We've gotten some complaints anonymously. I raised my eyebrows. She shrugged. People talk. But your work speaks louder. And your file. Spotless. I nodded. The truth always has a longer half-life than gossip. By the end of the month, Naomi hadn't paid a dime. So we moved forward. My lawyer filed to garnish future commissions from her real estate job. And guess what? She quit. Posted a story that said, toxic energy makes it impossible to thrive. Then posted a poll, should I move to Europe and reset my aura? Options, yes babe. Runny didn't vote. But I did sleep like a log that night. Because I'd finally learned something that took me 36 years and one wedding disaster to understand. You don't know people like Raf just because they're loud enough to drown out your own peace. The condo is no longer empty. A pediatric nurse and her girlfriend moved in last month. Quiet, kind. They send me photos of sunsets from the balcony like they think I've never seen that angle of light before. They pay on time. They keep the place clean. They text when something breaks, and when I answer within the hour, they say thank you. Do you know how rare that is? I do. The court case hasn't gone to trial yet. Naomi's lawyer, or, more accurately, the new one her parents hired, is stalling. They're trying mediation now. My lawyer says that's code for we finally read the documents and realize we're going to lose. They want to settle, but they don't want to admit they were wrong. Classic. My mother sent me a letter last week. A real one, unstationary, gold embossed initials. Smelled like lavender and desperation. We love you, Robert. But you've let your pride get in the way. You've forgotten what it means to be family. Naomi is hurting. This has gone too far. No apology. No mention of what they did. Just the usual rewrite. I was the problem for not letting it go. I placed the letter next to Naomi's earlier note. The one that said mom says you'll cave eventually. They belong together. Different fonts, same lie. Because here's what I know now. Love isn't loyalty to people who demand your silence. Love isn't guilt payments or swallowed anger. Love is boundaries. Love is peace. And family. Family is whoever doesn't weaponize your kindness and call it tradition. It's not the people who clap when you bleed, then call you selfish when you finally stop. It's the intern who brings you coffee without asking because she noticed you skipped lunch. It's the nurse who puts a granola bar on your desk and pretends not to see the tears behind your eyes at 4 a.m. It's Evan, who sends you $200 every month labeled debt fee, even though no one would have blamed him for vanishing. It's the surgical team who corrects your name pronunciation after you mention it once. It's the scrub tech who says, "I've got your back," before a complicated procedure. It's the pediatric nurse who sends a photo of the living room you helped her build and writes, "This condo saved us. That's my family now." Naomi posted a birthday video 2 weeks ago. She was at a beach resort. #blessed, #self-care. In the caption, she wrote, "Surround yourself with people who see your worth." I didn't flinch. I didn't feel guilt, or rage, or the old itch to fix. I just smiled, because I am surrounded by people who see my worth. I just had to walk away from the ones who never did. I cook now. Not well, but enough. I turn my phone off on Sundays. Walk to the farmer's market. There's a woman who sells peaches and calls me doctor with the tired eyes. She always gives me one extra. Last weekend, a new resident asked me, "How do you deal with guilt when you say no?" I told her, "You don't. Not at first. But one day, you look at your life and realize it's yours again. That's how you know it worked." She nodded, wrote that down, and I realized something. For 36 years, I paid for love with silence, sacrifice, and direct deposits. But I don't do that anymore. I'm not Naomi's ATM. I'm not my parents' fixer. I'm not a donor to a lifestyle that made me feel small. I'm a surgeon. I cut. I mend. I heal. And I keep the parts that keep me whole. That includes my time, my money, my condo, and yes, my Audi, until I finally feel like selling it. But most of all, it includes my peace. And peace? Turns out it's worth more than any wedding gift. The end.